It is not clear, but it was November or December 1431, and a boy was born in Wallachia, Romania. And since he came from royalty, they gave him the name Vlad III. Vlad II, that was the father of this child, was supposed to be the king of Wallachia, and Vlad II also had a nickname called Dracula, and in Romanian, this meant dragon. And since Vlad III, that was just born, had a father with this name, they named him Dracula, which basically means the son of Dracul, or dragon. Vlad III, or Dracula, is being raised in a place that has a lot of cruelty. It's the Middle Ages and it's in Europe, so everybody's just dying left and right in the worst possible way. And even though Vlad III is being born in royalty, and he's in a quote-unquote safe place, he's seeing all this as he's growing up. Since the first day he could listen, he was always taught to hate your enemy and make yourself as powerful as possible. His father, meaning Vlad II, was always fighting the Ottomans. Ever since he had children, Vlad II wanted his children to be very educated, and that is why he hired some Greek educators to teach his children the German language, Greek language, and also math. But they're in a place where they don't know what's gonna happen next. In the year 1436, the Hungarians decide to attack Wallachia, and they very easily take over. Dracul, that was once the king of Wallachia, is now stranded by the Hungarians, and since he couldn't make a deal with the Hungarians, he went to his number one enemy, the Ottomans. He made a deal with them to help him get rid of the Hungarians in Wallachia. Mehmed II, the Sultan of the Ottoman Empire, accepted the deal and helped Vlad II. But what did he ask for in return? Vlad II asked him, "What do you need?" He requested that 2 of his sons are sent to Istanbul to live here, and Vlad II had no other choice than to send his kids over there. And 2 of his sons, meaning Dracula and his brother, are sent to the Ottoman Empire. Mehmed II has a place ready for them in the capital, so they can live without any problems. Dracula and his brother that were living in Wallachia were sent to a place that was much worse. It's not like they weren't being taken care of, they actually were, but the Ottomans used the cruelest method to keep power. They would kill people in the streets in the worst possible way, and young Vlad III, or Dracula, is seeing all of it happen. Beforehand, Dracula was learning Latin, math, and the German language, but when he got to Istanbul, everything changed because Mehmed II told him that you guys need to learn Turkish and also Quran along with it. After a while, Dracula's brother, meaning Radu, decides to convert to Islam because he liked it so much, and he asks his brother to convert with him. But Dracula was not interested and he didn't go along with him. Let's see what is happening in Wallachia. Of course, the Ottomans go there and throw out the Hungarians and let Vlad II have power once again. But the Hungarians retreat, get stronger, and come back once again to take over Wallachia. Not only do they take Wallachia back, but they kill Vlad II, Dracula's father. But the Ottomans once again take Wallachia back in one night. They realize that Dracul has been killed, so they decide to come back to Istanbul, take his son back to be the new king of this place. They bring Dracula back, and now he's the king of Wallachia. The Ottomans hand over the power and retreat again, but the Hungarians were waiting for this exact day, because once the Ottomans left, they attacked again, and Dracula is forced to run away again. He runs to Transylvania, which is north of Wallachia. And this is the old name for Romania. He gets to know a person named John Hunyadi, which is a Hungarian warrior living in Transylvania. It is at this time that the Hungarians announce a new king for Wallachia called Vladislav. But John Hunyadi, that has gotten to know Dracula, doesn't want Vladislav to be the new king of Wallachia. He wants Dracula to be the king. With the help of the Hungarian warrior and the army he had, they once again attacked Wallachia to take it back, and they are successful in the first battle. And when it was time to kill Vladislav, the new emperor, Dracula said, "I want to 1v1 him," and they duelled, and he very easily killed him. Not only did they take back Wallachia, but they also take back Moldova and make their tiny empire a little bit bigger. But Dracula is extremely pissed off still, because the Hungarians killed his father, and he was always looking for a way to take revenge. Dracula had a special method to take revenge. For the people he was suspicious of in Hungary, he would invite them over with a letter to have dinner in Wallachia, and he would tell them, "Come over, let's settle our differences like men." The Hungarians that were invited were actually very happy to receive a letter like this, because they would lose a very strong enemy and they would have some good dinner. Whenever the Hungarians would show up, they would immediately be arrested by his army. And Dracula has the wooden skewers ready, but not for kebabs. These are meant for execution, executing the entire family of the people that showed up. He would literally insert the human body in the worst possible way to make them suffer the most. And they did this in front of their family, and their turn is coming up. Dracula started his revenge like this. He was also so cruel to his own people that people were terrified of him. Like, for example, if a woman had a baby or had sex without being married, she would get the same treatment as the Hungarians. A wooden skewer through the body. And this is just one of them, because he had plenty of rules for his own people that were very cruel. From the other side, the Ottomans are taking over the Balkans, and in the year 1461, they finally are able to control Greece. But Dracula was not a fan of the Ottoman Empire, and they didn't want them to have a lot of power. He knew that if they get too powerful, they're gonna come for Wallachia. And at this time, Mehmet II, the Sultan of the Ottoman Empire, thinks that Wallachia is part of his empire, and that is why he writes a letter to Dracula and requests to send 10,000 of your soldiers to Istanbul because we need them for war. Mehmet II sent this letter with a few of his men to Wallachia. When Dracula received such letter, he immediately told his men to arrest these dudes and kill them. This news gets to Sultan Mehmet II, and of course, he's furious, but he has no choice because all his armies are all over the empire and he can't dedicate a set of them to go to Wallachia, and that is why nothing was done. A couple years pass by. Dracula sends a letter to Mehmet II and tells him to meet him in Serbia so we can make a peace deal. Sultan accepts and doesn't go actually. He sends 1,000 of his men and tells them to kill Dracula. Dracula had a personality that he didn't trust everybody, and he always thought everybody is messing with him and it's a trick. And that is why he didn't go alone to Serbia. He took an army. He goes there, he arrests all 1,000 men and kills them with his favorite method, impalement. Since Dracula lived in Istanbul, he had learned the Turkish language, and that is why he decided to move towards east. When he would attack cities in the Ottoman Empire and realize that they're Turkish, he wouldn't even show mercy to the kids. He would have everybody killed in that city. In about 4 weeks, he kills more than 23,000 Turks, and none of these are military men. They were all civilians, kids and women. After all this took place, Dracula decided to write a letter to Muhammad II, in Turkish too. He says, "We killed 23,884 Turks without counting those whom we burned in homes, or the Turks whose heads were cut by our soldiers. Thus, your highness, you must know, I have broken the peace." Muhammad II immediately tells his men to create an army and march towards Wallachia. They get 18,000 men together to march towards Wallachia. But Dracula was ready for this day because he was waiting with 30,000 of his men. In this battle, the Ottomans suffer a terrible defeat, and this causes Dracula to be considered a hero in Europe because they had just defeated the Ottoman Empire. Even the Pope considered him a hero. After they sent a letter to Muhammad saying this took place, he says, "Let everything go. We need the biggest army we can to go towards Wallachia." They made an army 150,000 strong, and he told his men that your job is not to take over Wallachia. Your job is to kill Dracula, and Dracula is still waiting with 30,000 of his men. When the Ottomans get close to Wallachia, just the size of the army terrified Dracula's men, and they very easily mowed him down and moved forward. Of course, after this takes place, Dracula realized that this is not the place to be because they're getting mowed down. He takes 5,000 of his men and goes to the nearby mountain. The Ottoman army takes over Wallachia, and Dracula is trying to figure out a method to attack the Ottomans again. First, he tells his men to get some Ottoman soldier clothing for him. He wears the clothes and comes down from the mountain to see what is going on in Wallachia. Basically, Dracula was looking for Sultan Muhammad to kill him, but the more he looked, the less he could find him. It gets nighttime and he returns to the mountain again, but he only had 5,000 men in the mountain, so he was not strong whatsoever. So he plans, before the sun rises, let's split into 2 different groups and attack them while they are sleeping, and by doing this, we can kill plenty of them without taking much damage. They very successfully attack the Ottomans and kill 15,000 of his men, and they lose less than 1,000 men. So when Vlad III or Dracula returns to the mountain, he has about 4,000 men still. But 4,000 was extremely low, and it was any second that Sultan Mehmed II could send his men inside the mountain. So he tells his men, let's move towards Hungary. Dracula was friend with Matthias Corvinus, the king of Hungary, and he told him, let's go attack the Ottoman Empire and take over. But he didn't know what kind of a situation he's putting himself into, because Matthias has spoken with Mehmed II and they had made a deal: if he comes here, arrest him. So Dracula was immediately arrested in Hungary and thrown in prison. So Matthias didn't decide to kill him, but to keep him. Dracula wasn't gonna go sit in jail and be a nobody. Since he was considered a hero in a lot of people's eyes, he would start getting news out that these guys have locked up a hero and you guys should help me get out of this place. So of course, by doing this, a lot of the people in Europe from every location are a fan of Dracula and they want to help him. And the men love him so much that they're willing to fight for him. It basically gets to a point where Dracula makes a deal so he can escape from this prison with the help of the people outside. The people are able to help him, and he escapes freely and goes to Wallachia. When he gets back to Wallachia, he's confronted with a terrible scene because the entire city has been destroyed by the Ottomans, and Dracula only has 3,000 men, so he can't get ready to fight the Ottomans again. When he gets back, there's always a rat that tells the Ottomans that Vlad III is here now, and that is why there are some men in the Ottoman Empire sent to just kill him. In the year 1477, these guys get to Dracula himself and kill him. They behead him and send his head to Istanbul to the Sultan, which is not Muhammad II anymore, it's Bayezid II. The reason the term Dracula is so famous nowadays is because this guy killed more than 50,000 men in the worst possible way, which is the reason he's called Vlad the Impaler. It is true that there's a lot of killings by different dictators, But this guy is famous because he killed in one certain way, and he was proud of it. Since the 1960s, you can see plenty of movies with Dracula's name in front of it. But it's not about the king himself in Wallachia, it's actually about a vampire that likes to suck blood. And Dracula's name is so famous, you can even find movies that are made last year. But it seems like people didn't like the new ones because the reviews are very off. He was a weird guy, huh? What is your guys' thought about Vlad III or Dracula?